Good evening. Welcome to another bedazzling episode of Diatribes from the voice of Doom. Now here's your bucolic and befuddled host, voice of Doom. Another original. This song I did do a lot of work on. Didn't do the vocals, but I like it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. You can look on my playlist. Anyway, I like that song. Wrote it about a year ago, maybe, not even. So going on with the history of music from my standpoint, let's see, where was I? New wave band broke up, another band broke up, and I'm left in Honolulu with a girlfriend that I'm living with and kind of getting into that scene. And just get a piano in the house and it's fun. I can play when people come over. But I decided, well, I want to get more into the music scene because all I'm doing right now with what was I doing? Working at Pizza Hut, working at the Punk Club as a bartender that I started on with the band. I could do a whole diatribe about the Punk Club because we had a really good time. But at any rate, I wanted to do something musical, and there was a kind of a punk new wave alternative scene in Hawaii. It's just starting to blossom. It was, it was mid-'80s. We're always behind over there. And guy had a bunch of punk records and stuff that he was trying to sell, and it was the kind of music I was into. When I was working at the Punk Club, that the DJ and I got into alternative music, and we got into real alternative music. So anything they come up with now, it's already been done. I can tell you that right now. In the 80s, we listened to electronic noise. We listened to shrieking and growling that Slipknot could only hope to imitate. All kinds of stuff. Had to be different, had to have a hook. Something that makes you go, yeah, I can get into this. Sometimes we got into dance music. We were peddling records here and there between nightclubs so they could play different music. And you get to know what songs are hot, and I was into that scene. Okay, so I'm going to buy out this guy, buy all his records, and start my own little record store. So I did. And it went over like a lead balloon. Because your only customers are alternative music listening punks who aren't good for money. But I was catering to the lowest. They would be called wokesters in this day and age, but it was 1985, 86. And then I decided, since I was listening to a lot of this weird alternative stuff, I really got into bands such as Einsters and the Neubauten, or Test Department, or Leibach, which you heard before, or Fetus, of course. And then, more easy listening music like the or the Cocteau Twins, anything on 4AD, that label. I opened the record store, I learned about alternative labels. I know who was on all the records. I knew which record was going to be good just by the label, and I knew which ones would sell. But I was irresponsible, and I was smoking a lot, and I was acting like I could just live off the profits of this punk record store, which was my first mistake, because I knew nothing about business. I later learned about business, but it was too late. That went bye-bye, but at the same time I was doing that, I decided I've been listening to all this alternative music and let's start a new band. One of my roommates had been a bass player and percussionist all his life. Between the two of us, we had like 50 years experience in music. So I came up with the concept that, hey, music's, even the punk and the, it's going too fast. Hardcore, speed metal, and you get into Metallica where they're actually, full-on artists using this genre. And it's like, why try to be good anymore? The same concept I have with diatribes is why strive to be excellent when you can strive for the bottom, get there much easier, and then maybe get lucky along the way. So that's the concept of the band that was called Fister. And we said we are going to use garbage, we are going to use cans, we are going to use kitchen sinks, we're going to use toilet bowls, we're going to use rebar, lots of rebar, we're going to use special effects, usually getting you shocked. We were going to use bricks, we were going to use chanting, we were going to use drones, we were going to use down, 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 down drones. Back to the cave, back to the cave, back to the cave. I like the concept. And we were reasonably successful because people had not seen things like that before. That was my most creative time in my life because it was easy to write songs. Rancid, rotten, smelly, stinking corpses. Rancid, rotten, smelly, stinking corpses. I mean, here's one song we did. It's more produced now. Picture this with nothing but sheets of metal and rebar. If it comes on.
5, 4, 3.
I wrote this song.
1.
Called Tasmania. The example of one of the songs I wrote for that band. It was all experimental and just whatever happens, happens. And a lot of it turned out really good. We did 2 releases, limited editions. Anyway, that gives you a little idea of what kind of stuff we were doing. I mean, it was all different kind of stuff. First thing we came out with was our box set. Made this myself. This is how we sold it. Pieces of heavy cardboard paper stapled together with 3 computer cassettes in it. We did this all by hand. I said minimalist and I meant minimalist. I forgot this was here. It is a lyric sheet a la 1986. That's how we did it back then. Can't see the band, but we never showed our face. We were a lot like the Residents, mysterious bands that you never see their face. Primus. It was more the show. Every show was different. Every show was fully composed from scratch. That was our first release. Then we got ambitious, and we did To the Dogs. This was a full cassette, full of music, and it's not half bad. People on that cassette who were on there, Ollie North, we didn't care for him. Reagan, didn't care for him. Pope John Paul, didn't care for him. Kurt Waldheim, didn't care for him. Did a few songs about Aborigines, did a few songs about general mayhem, liars. The NSA, the PTL, I'm the head of the PTL, I don't know. Did a bunch of weird stuff. Okay, so let's move on. Told you enough about that. The band was Fester. Oh, well, if it weren't for that, then my life wouldn't have changed forever, because we were a performance art band that was very unique. And people were starting to like us. And they didn't know what to make of us, but because we bring out big mixing bowls, industrial kitchen, and start beating on them, and we dress as Aborigines, we dress as, monks, we dress as, we just put plastic bags over our heads, looking sinister, and had fun, loved it. Always had banners. It's always minimalist. It was always real cheap. Just like paint a sheet and, a couple pulleys. So we're going to make our way to LA and seek our fame and fortune. Me and that bass player got together with, and to say bass player, we didn't even have instruments hardly, but had keyboards, and we could play any instrument we wanted to. Got together with a guitar player, Hawaiian guy, big guy, who liked us, and he had a whole bunch of equipment. He had mics, he had PAs, he had the whole 9 yards, and suddenly we could go from a crappy industrial band that people can't really hear very well to a very, very loud industrial band that people can't understand. So we start getting more sophisticated, going, yeah, we can compete with these big guys, especially for being Americans, because there's no originality in America, obviously. So if you come up with something good, interesting, and we were ahead of Blue Man Group, and we were ahead of Stomp. So when they came along, they just stole our stick. Only Stomp they were good dancers. So I'll give that to them. But the industrial thing, raw to the bone, is like, let's try to be as bad as we can possibly be and see if people, put up with it. So it was fun. Why try to be great? It's so hard to reach the top. There's always somebody better than you when you can strive for the bottom. That was my first diatribe. If you go back to the number one, it's on my playlist, Best of Doom. So, moved to LA, and the first thing that happens is the guy with all the equipment gets called away. He has to go moving across country to help his grandmother, so he's gone. Me and the other guy are left stranded in LA, thinking about the band, but basically we're trying to think survival, so we have to get jobs, and then we have to meet women, and then we have to get married, and then we have to have kids. Suddenly the old band thing kind of goes by the wayside. So let's wrap this up. Been playing, I'm probably as good as I've ever been playing. I've been practicing a lot. I've had more time since, I'm single now. And I wanted to do an opera based on my play called The Sun Lotus, but writing operas is really hard if you want to orchestrate it correctly, because orchestration's a pain in the butt. And that's not even as hard as rhythm. I cannot get the notes down right for the right rhythm, so writing a whole opera from scratch on paper. But I'm thinking about that. I've been composing. I got my buddies here. This guy can just put something on YouTube in 10 minutes after we put all the parts. He's got all the software, and we just put the parts down and produce songs. It's Kurt Christensen. He's got about 300 videos. So I can do stuff with him, which I'm doing. Anytime I come up with a song concept, I can just get together with these guys and make it happen. But, yeah, it's not as, production is ubiquitous, you understand? Back in the old days when you made a hit record, your fortune was made. Now people are making hit records every day. Too many people producing, you get lost in the crowd. But I'll keep trying. I have different concepts that I'd like to get into. Like, for instance, I'd really like to make an industrial opera based on Macbeth, and I think I could actually write that because it would be more improvisatory, and I think that'd be really cool. But I have plenty of time for that. I'm going to live another 60 or 70 years. So, I don't know. What else happened in music? I missed a few things. I know in college I learned a lot. And I was pretty immersed in it. I was in 3 different bands at once. I was in a wind ensemble, a jazz band, and I was in the punk new wave band, and trying to do a full load in college and working about 20-25 hours a week. I don't know how the hell I did it, but I talked to my kids, and it's like, you guys don't know what you have to do to get through life. So I'll get back into the social mores. I will get back into the morass, which we are finding ourselves in. I'll let everybody catch up with what I've already said, which they're doing right now. And then we'll get to the bottom of some of this stuff. There's a few mysteries that need to be unraveled that are happening right now, and we better get with it. So that's it. I don't think I have more to say about music, but if I do, I'll bring it up when I do my history of music, the real one. All right. Enjoy the night, and thanks.